This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
1 week to go. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. Election Day is a week away, and political pundits say at this point in the game, it is all about getting out the vote. Political strategist Jimmy Keaty.
So that's knocking doors, running calls, doing events, really trying to make sure people are going out and voting. They're voting early or they're voting on Election Day.
Political insider Steve Kornacki says for several weeks now, Vice President Harris and former President Trump have been running neck and neck in the poll.
Harris with an advantage nationally now on average of 1.1 points over Trump. 4 years ago, on this day, the national poll average was Joe Biden by 7.4 points. Go back to 2016, on this day, Hillary Clinton's advantage was 4.6. So the polling has just been much tighter this time around.
Harris delivers her closing arguments tonight in a speech on the National Mall in Washington. Campaign spokeswoman Jen O'Malley Dillon.
I think you're going to hear from her the very strong new way forward she's been laying out across the country, how she represents a new generation of leadership, but also how the American people deserve a leader who is focused on them.
Abortion rights has been the hallmark of the Harris campaign, but this voter says that's not what matters most to her.
Abortion is not my top issue, not even close. And I tend to be more pro-choice than I am pro-life. You know what I want? I want safety. I want the border closed, and I want prices to come down.
Former President Trump's talking economic issues today in a roundtable discussion with senior citizens in Pennsylvania. This senior citizen says the economy is front and center on her mind in this election.
My current job is a cashier in a grocery store, and the cost of groceries and just the cost of living to survive. It's constant adjustment of the budget, trying to figure out how you can make ends meet.
Trump will be in Allentown tonight, a city with a large Latino population. He'll speak at the PPL Center at 7 p.m. Big election news out of Battleground, Nevada. That state's highest court says it will allow mail-in ballots without a postmark to count for up to 3 days after the election. This ruling comes as a blow to Republicans who argue requiring ballots to be postmarked on or before Election Day is critical to election integrity. Ballot boxes in Washington state and Oregon were set afire yesterday.
The Portland fire, which was quickly put out, damaged 3 ballots. The earlier fire in Vancouver did little damage, but the latest one was destructive. Clark County Auditor Greg Kimsey.
We are still in the process of coming in with a closer number, but certainly was hundreds.
Kimsey says they're urging voters to deposit ballots during the day and changing pickup times to keep ballots from sitting in drop boxes overnight.
Heather Bosch with Cairo Radio says it appears the 2 arson incidents are related. There's a concerted effort this year to protect poll workers from political violence. Reporter Stephanie Goss.
There's bulletproof glass at the Harford County Board of Elections office in Maryland. The mailroom in Durham County, North Carolina, soon to be equipped with a panic button. And in Maricopa County, Arizona, snipers will be set up on the tabulation center's rooftop.
In Philadelphia, mail-in ballots will be counted at a warehouse surrounded by fences topped with barbed wire.
Unfortunately, I think it's necessary. We have to be prepared for the worst case scenario.
City Commissioner Seth Bluestein.
It's really frustrating. Nobody should feel unsafe doing the job of counting votes.
A new study finds nearly 40% of election workers face abuse and harassment while at the polls. 90% of polling stations have taken steps this year to increase security. Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos defending the paper's decision not to issue a presidential endorsement this year. Bezos says presidential endorsements create a perception of bias. Media critic Howie Kurtz.
If he had done it months ago, it would have been very different. No one would have cared. Newspaper endorsements don't really matter these days, at least on the national level. But for 2 years, the editorial pages of the Post is constantly anti-Trump, left-leaning, and then on the most important thing that they face, we couldn't possibly tell you what to think. That would create the perception of bias. Well, come on. We know what they think. They're just pulling back on this.
More than 200,000 people have canceled their digital subscriptions to the Washington Post since the non-endorsement. Longtime Trump ally Steve Bannon walked out of prison a free man today in Danbury, Connecticut.
Bannon served a 4-month sentence. He was convicted in 2022 on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with the subpoena from the committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
Stacey Lynn reporting dry conditions raising the risk of wildfires, especially in the Northeast, where it hasn't rained in some spots in nearly a month. The Weather Channel's Stephanie Abrams.
Much of the Northeast has had minimal rainfall, placing several cities at the top of the list for the driest start to fall. On top of that, it's been warm, even hot at times. Today we'll see record-setting highs in the Midwest, with the warmth expanding south and east into tomorrow.
We could see some record highs on Halloween. Overseas, Gaza's health ministry, which is run by Hamas, claims at least 90 civilians were killed today in an Israeli airstrike on a 5-story building in the Gaza Strip. That building was being used to house displaced Palestinians. The Israeli government has also voted to outlaw the UN's Agency for Palestinian Refugees. State Department spokesman Matt Miller not happy with that.
They really play an irreplaceable role right now in Gaza, where they're on the front lines getting humanitarian assistance to the people they need it. There's nobody that can replace them right now in the middle of the crisis.
The Israeli Knesset calls that UN agency a terror group. Many of its members participated in the October 7th terror attack on Israel. On the sports beat, things are not looking so good for the New York Yankees right now.
2-2 to Torres. Bouncing ball towards the middle. Edman with a spin and a throw. And the Dodgers dominate Game 3. They're a win away from a world championship.
The Bronx Bombers will try to avoid the sweep tonight. Here's what a few diehard Yankees fans had to say this morning.
I'm from New York, and the Yankees are Yankees, and they could do it. It's baseball. You never know.
I think it's definitely going to happen.
Honestly, I'm over it. Going into the series, we had to take one of the first 2 in LA, especially with Cole pitching.
We got to try to do our best.
Oh, we got to believe. Can't give up hope.
They're going to come back. This is New York. We in the building right now. New York is going to win.
No, I wouldn't bet on it. It's like unprecedented, the odds.
No, I don't. I mean, maybe they'll get a win tonight, maybe.
All they got to do is win one. We haven't been batting, hitting the ball. It's a team effort.
I think the guys are playing their hearts out, but they're not getting the breaks.
Game 4 is tonight on Fox. And Christmas is right around the corner. Family Life's Dee Haley has the proof.
A sign that the holiday season is approaching comes from New York City's Rockefeller Center. This year's Christmas tree was officially chosen yesterday. The Christmas tree attracts thousands of visitors every year. The tradition dates back to 1931. This year, however, the tree will not be local to New York State. For the first time since 1959, this year's tree will travel from Massachusetts. The Norway spruce stands 74 feet tall and weighs about 11 tons. The tree will be cut down on November 7th and will arrive at Rockefeller Center on November 9th. Once the tree is on the move, you can follow its journey by visiting RockefellerCenter.com. Dee Haley, Family Life News.
All right, Dee, can't believe we're already talking Christmas. Still to come on the Noon Report. Harris in Harrisburg, Trump stumps in Allentown, and early voting setting records.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. The passage of a warm front will spell some warm air here tomorrow and Thursday. I've got the numbers in the forecast coming up in 10.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you then. Taking a look at the stories making news across New York and Pennsylvania. Former President Donald Trump's on the stump in Allentown today. That city has the second largest Latino population of any in battleground Pennsylvania. Vice President Kamala Harris will be in Harrisburg tomorrow. Today, by the way, is the last day to request a mail-in ballot in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania election officials warning folks to watch out for fake news when it comes to election fraud. This follows a fake video of ballots being destroyed in Bucks County.
Secretary of the Commonwealth Al Schmidt said bad actors will try to undermine people's confidence in the election results in the coming weeks. He noted that someone had recently accused nuns in Erie of committing voter fraud. Schmidt says Pennsylvanians can have confidence this year's election will be free, fair, safe, and secure. Jeremy Miller, Family Life News.
All right, thank you, Jeremy. New York Governor Kathy Hochul vowing to protect voting rights in the upcoming election. Natalie Migliore has that report.
Governor Hochul says she's teamed up with New York State Attorney General Letitia James and other agencies to respond to anything that may stop someone from casting their ballots. Hochul cautions election night results are unofficial and there may not be a clear winner in certain races as mail-in and affidavit ballots are counted. She says New York State Police are coordinating with local partners in the hours and days after polls close to ensure election-related demonstrations are peaceful and safe. Natalie Migliore, New York.
Nearly 1 million New Yorkers have taken advantage of early voting thus far. It started Saturday and runs through this Sunday. Kathleen McGrath with the New York State Board of Elections.
I think as folks across the state get more comfortable with it, there's more of an inclination to use it. New Yorkers this year actually have more ways to vote than ever before.
Lisa Nicole with the Monroe County Board of Elections says older voters, more so than younger ones, are taking advantage of early voting.
I think early voting, I mean, it's only day 3 for this year, but it's definitely trending those traditional older voters, 50 plus, 50 to 75. That's the biggest segment of the population that's early voting. So that's typical of an election day.
Early voting has only been a reality in New York since 2019. There's a dress code, sort of, when you cast your ballot for the election. Any kind of clothing that endorses a candidate is very much illegal. Erie County, New York Board of Elections Chair Jeremy Zellner says if you do have a Trump shirt or a Kamala hat, you'll be asked to take it off or cover it up.
10 people wear political wares, paraphernalia, hats, clothing, T-shirts.
Yeah, we ask them not to, especially once you get to that 100-foot marker. It becomes electioneering for someone to do that. So we're asking folks to just use common sense, and they have been. It has gone very, very well.
Zellner interviewed by WGRZ in Buffalo. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman admits it's quite impressive the level of support Donald Trump got on Sunday night at Madison Square Garden.
I mean, it was almost like Taylor Swift kind of swag. It's like something very special exists there, and that doesn't mean that I admire it. It's just like it's real.
200,000 people requested tickets for the event at the world's most famous sports arena. The Northminster Presbyterian Church in Endwell, New York, is delivering supplies to homeowners in hurricane-wrecked North Carolina. A donation truck at that church will make a drive to Burnsville, North Carolina, just outside of Asheville. Pastor Joseph Hine tells 12 News in Binghamton.
Apparently the wind snapped off every telephone pole and obviously large pine trees in a mountainous region that we're sending it to. So they're in need of dehumidifiers, chainsaws, any type of paper product.
Donations will be accepted until Sunday, November 3rd at the Northminster Presbyterian Church in Endwell, New York. Sports next. It's the 2-minute drill right here on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, the visitors have their brooms out, and the New York Yankees are the ones who are in serious trouble and may get swept. The Dodgers once again took down New York in Game 3 of the World Series 4-2, and it was a familiar name who did damage. For the third straight game in this series, Freddie Freeman went deep, blasting a 2-run home run in the first inning, and L.A. never looked back. For Freeman, he is now tied a World Series record by hitting a home run in 5 straight games. For the Yankees, Alex Verdugo hit a 2-run shot in the 9th to avoid the shutout, but this team is lost at the plate. They're not scoring runs. They're not hitting. I picked them to win this series because they supposedly had the better starting pitching, but that hasn't been the case either. The Dodgers have dominated in all facets of this game, including on defense. Well, let's talk football. After an even first half in Pittsburgh, the Steelers took control and knocked off the Giants 26-18 in the Monday night matchup. Calvin Austin III returned a punt 73 yards for a score. Russell Wilson tossed for 278 yards and a touchdown. The Steelers have now won 3 in a row. The Giants' Tyrone Tracy Jr. rushed for 145 yards and a score, but clearly it wasn't enough. The Giants have now dropped 3 straight. On the hardwood at the Garden, the Knicks fell to the Cavs 110-104. Cleveland got 34 points from Darius Garland. They're still undefeated at 4-0. Other winners in the NBA, the Magic, Wizards, Celtics, Heat, Nuggets, Bulls, Rockets, Mavs, Suns, and Kings. On the ice, Buffalo got goals from Rasmus Dahlin and Jason Zucker, but Florida lit the lamp 5 times, and they beat the Sabres 5-2. That is a look at sports.
All right, Randy, man, thank you very much. And still to come on the Noon Report, closing arguments, election violence, and what to do with all those robocalls.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Is religious freedom more secure in America today than ever before? Many Christians observing our increasingly secular culture would balk at that claim, but it's exactly what New York Times opinion columnist and longtime religious freedom advocate David French said recently. It was in a video posted by Phil Vischer's Holy Post podcast. French asked if Christians really were persecuted in the U.S. and if religious liberty really was under threat. The answer to both, French argued, is no. Quote, "It's been 14 years since there's been a significant religious liberty loss at the U.S. Supreme Court. Religious liberty is secure in the United States. The American Christian community is the most free, most powerful Christian community in the world. Yes, there are some individual injustices which are dealt with in courts, but American Christians are not persecuted by any meaningful historical standard. The legal protections for religious liberty are stronger than at any other time in American history." End quote. This is kind of like saying Great Britain was never more protected than it was during the Blitz. Of course, it's true that there are many defenders vigilantly fighting for our first freedom, and they've had notable successes in the high court. But it's precisely because religious freedom has never been under such sustained and aggressive attacks in this country that so many have been forced to fight so hard for so long. I could point to the HHS contraception mandate, or the long battle to force one baker to bake cakes for a so-called gay wedding, or how Fire Chief Kelvin Cochran was fired for writing a Sunday school book, or Barronelle Stutzman, or the Trinity Lutheran case, or Christian schools in Title IX, or many other cases and controversies. Yes, basically all these were wins, but they were because of a sustained assault on religious freedom from the highest levels of government that's been nearly constant over the last decade, especially since the Supreme Court made so-called same-sex marriage the law of the land. In fact, just this week, new rules from the Biden administration seek to, once again, force insurance plans to cover birth control and abortifacients, even if employers disagree with it. The fact that religious plaintiffs and defendants so often prevail says far more about the strength of our founding documents and where the Supreme Court is than about the popularity or security of religious freedom. The simple fact is that all these wins in court that French touts were only necessary because of the explosion of lawsuits and policies infringing on the rights of religious Americans, not to mention a whole series of losses at all the lower courts. And the very fact that we're still fighting so many of these issues, despite all of these wins, shows just how determined the opposition is. To survey this situation and then conclude that religious liberty will just inevitably continue to win in the courts forever is naive. Now, French is of course right that American Christians have been largely spared the kind of persecution that's seen around the world. He's also right that religious freedom has enjoyed victories in recent years at the highest court, thanks in large part to the tireless work of groups like the Alliance Defending Freedom and First Liberty and others. But this will not go on forever in a society where religion is increasingly treated like an odd hobby or even an old evil, and the rationale behind our first freedom seems increasingly alien to most young people. That's why our work as believers is more fundamental than just carving out legal niche to exist ourselves. It means we have to confront the culture directly and challenge the values and assumptions that push faith to the margins. After all, the free exercise of religion is protected by the First Amendment, and that means we will not be acting like true Americans until the first freedom is again our first priority. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint. Today's Breakpoint was co-authored with Shane Morris. And for more resources to live like a Christian today, go to breakpoint.org.
Thank you, John. Outside we go next. Meteorologist Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. There'll be a few showers around, especially through portions of central New York, departing western New York, even a rumble of thunder. Farther south through Pennsylvania, clouds and mixed sunshine with an isolated shower. Milder than recent days, high temps into the 60s, dropping back only into the lower 50s tonight. Warm day tomorrow, golden sunshine, high temps 70s to near 80. Thursday, partly sunny, warm. Showers at night and high temps in the 70s to near 80.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. This is the Noon Report. I'm your host, Bob Price. Lots going on Tuesday, the 29th of October. It's closing time out on the campaign trail, and the candidates for president are close to delivering their closing arguments. Vice President Harris has a big speech tonight on the National Mall in Washington, D.C.
With the White House as her backdrop, Vice President Harris is going to deliver a closing argument, calling on Americans to turn the page on the Trump era from the very spot where Donald Trump spoke on January 6th.
Meantime, Donald Trump's wife, Melania, telling Fox and Friends that it's time to turn the page on 4 years of Biden-Harris.
You know, people see what's going on in the country and what kind of leadership they want. You know, they want prosperity, they want American dream coming back. So that's what we will decide on November 5th.
Trump's on the stump in Allentown, Pennsylvania tonight. The Keystone State could hold the key to not just who wins the White House, but also who controls Congress. Pennsylvania Republican congressional candidate Rob Bresnahan.
We have been running a message about an economy that works, communities that are safe, and a secure border.
Bresnahan's hoping to flip the 8th congressional district from blue to red. That district includes President Biden's hometown of Scranton.
We've knocked on, just as a campaign, cumulatively over 110,000 doors. And the first thing everyone talks about is just how expensive everything is right now.
Bresnahan's campaigning against incumbent Democrat Matt Cartwright in one of the most competitive congressional races in the state. The FBI is warning police to prepare for possible political violence in the run-up to the election. Yesterday, multiple ballot box fires set by incendiary devices destroyed hundreds of ballots in Oregon and Washington state.
Acts like this are targeted and they're intentional, and we're concerned about that intentional act trying to affect the election process.
Amanda McMillan's the assistant police chief of Portland. So far, no arrests made. Police think the arson incidents are related. Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos is publicly defending the decision by his paper not to issue a presidential endorsement this year. In an op-ed to readers, Bezos called it a principled stance. Reporter Peter King.
Bezos writes that in a business based on credibility, endorsement creates a perception of bias and non-independence. And he writes that newspaper endorsements really do nothing to turn an election one way or another.
200,000 people have canceled their subscriptions to the Post after the non-endorsement. Billionaire Elon Musk is being sued by Philadelphia's top prosecutor. It has to do with his $1 million giveaway to registered voters.
The Philadelphia District Attorney's Office filed the lawsuit Monday, aiming to stop Musk's America Political Action Committee's lottery. The PAC is awarding $1 million every day until the election to a registered voter in swing states who sign a petition supporting free speech and the Second Amendment. Philadelphia's DA argued the lottery will irreparably harm Philadelphians and also tarnish the public's right to a free and fair election if not stopped. I'm Lisa Taylor.
A new report shows phone companies are not doing enough to protect you from annoying robocalls.
Nearly 4,000 phone companies have installed anti-robocall technology in the last 3 years, but the report says only 47% have fully completed those measures. Now, we reached out to the FCC, which says it's incorrect to state most providers are not complying. Many are asking for extensions, and some say they're unable to apply the blocking technology in rural areas with older infrastructure.
Reporter Nancy Chen, a Massachusetts man going the extra mile and all for a good cause. Listen to this from Family Life's Brian Query.
Bill Murphy of Grafton, Massachusetts, is running what is being called the Great World Race. From November 15th to 21st, Murphy will run 7 marathons on all 7 continents within 7 days. He's raising funds for Make-A-Wish Massachusetts and Rhode Island to grant wishes to children with life-threatening illnesses. This is not the first time Murphy has seemingly conquered the impossible for the cause, having run the 2021 Boston Marathon on crutches while facing a torn quadricep. Murphy has been a champion for Make-A-Wish for 20 years, having donated $500,000 in that time. It's the kids that will motivate him during every mile in the Great World Race. Murphy said he thinks everyone needs to have a meaning and purpose, a why. If you're accountable to something, someone, something greater, then you keep going. Murphy hopes to raise $50,000 through his efforts. Brian Query, Family Life News.
All right, what a great story. Thank you, Brian. This is the Noon Report, a Tuesday edition on Family Life.
Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster, and this week's guest is veteran David Miller Martini with the Cost of Freedom Foundation, committed to providing veterans holistic treatment. In part 2 of our interview, he details plans for a veterans wellness and recovery retreat in Tionesta, Pennsylvania.
When I looked at it as a Christian man, what I started to realize is that healthcare in general treats human beings, if we're simply a mind and a body with no soul, no spirituality.
And often only treats one part, maybe. It never takes it together cohesively.
So it's a fragmented healthcare system. Even though there was always talk about integrating across different disciplines, what you really find is that it really just became good language for getting good grant money. We need to look at something that's more holistic, almost in a one-stop shop to satisfy the needs of those individuals and to be able to monitor that and make the adjustments that need to obtain the best health outcomes. So what we started to realize is that not only was there not a spirituality piece, but at the end of the day, these individuals are coming out with very specific military defense backgrounds and skill sets that don't always translate well to jobs in
I can drive a tank. Yeah, good for you.
Exactly. Right. And I'm a good machine gunner, but where can I fit in your organization? Right. They don't really have the necessary job skills. And then what's really sad, and I think that speaks directly to the broken families that we have in our country today, and I think around the world. As I started to deal with younger military, they were seriously lacking in life skills to the point where it was sad, right? Very sad. So what we decided then is a foundation, and personally, it was to look at, could we devise a better model?
How does the Cost of Freedom organization do that?
We very much bring Christianity in, right? We have Christianity, we bring, I think, when people say that they don't see God, I don't see how you can say that, because you must be living in an urban city when you say that, because when you get out in nature, you realize that He's the creator of all of that beauty. His fingerprints are all over it. And there's something special and calming and healing about that whole idea of bringing spirituality and your faith in God and our Redeemer under His umbrella of nature. And so what we decided to do is that we looked for a place that we thought, hey, what could address that in terms of property? We found this beautiful piece of property in Tionesta that's on an island there, 34 acres, that is developed and just needs to have additional infrastructure built on it. But the whole idea now is that how can we bring about a holistic treatment model that looks at mind, body, and soul, or spirit, and brings all of those together and truly integrates it over the entire continuum of care. We're creating a clinic there that will allow us to provide all of those services under one umbrella, as it ought to be, that the person is treated as a whole human being, a very complex and beautiful individual that has a mind, body, and spirit. And we're going to look at the body through that lens, and then also on the health side, realize that also incorporates oral health and vision. So all that comes under the clinic setting as well. The program itself is divided into two parts. An in-resident program that will accommodate 40 male veterans for 3, 6, or 12 months, because that's the other problem with most of the treatment interventions today, is that when these gentlemen get into an addiction program, say, for drugs or alcohol. Many of them go to like a 30-day program and then they're released. And all we do is create this vicious cycle. And then once we have that, then what these gentlemen will do is they'll come in and each one of them will have a customized treatment and care plan developed from them from our team with their involvement, integrated with all of the services that they need. We're going to have workforce development to make sure that these individuals start developing a true skill set that they can take out into the job market and get meaningful employment. Homeboy Industry has quite a little catchphrase, and it is, nothing stops a bullet more than a job. And I think that's beautiful. And I think the same here. Nothing could stop a suicide more than somebody who realizes that they have self-value again and that they are forgiven from anything that they're struggling with, from the guilt and the shame of many times of what these military individuals have been through, and that, again, we have a Redeemer that is giving them a second chance here on earth to do good for others, and that's what this program is really all about.
That's veteran David Miller Martini with the Cost of Freedom Foundation, seeking to create a comprehensive veterans wellness and recovery retreat in Tionesta, Pennsylvania. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
All right, great work. Thank you, Mark. Hometown Heroes comes your way every Tuesday during the noon report or online anytime. FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. As a warm front works across our region, temperatures are on the up and up moving forward. We anticipate readings into the late summery 70s to near 80 tomorrow and Thursday with some sunshine. In the meantime, for this afternoon, unsettled conditions. There'll be a few showers around, especially through portions of central New York, departing western New York, even a rumble of thunder. Farther south through Pennsylvania, clouds and mixed sunshine with an isolated shower. Milder than recent days, high temps into the 60s, dropping back only into the lower 50s tonight. The warm day tomorrow, golden sunshine, high temps 70s to near 80. Thursday, partly sunny, warm. Showers at night and high temps in the 70s to near 80.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Finally at noon, if you own a cat, every day is Cat Day, but today especially is National Cat Day.
The plan of today is to make sure all cats are adopted, and in case you're on the fence, some cat facts to butter you up. PetMD says cats sleep up to 16 hours a day and spend about 3 hours grooming. They're about as smart as a toddler and can be trained to do stuff, but they won't. A new study by UCLA says owning one cat improves your mental health, owning two doubles the love, and according to the study, owning 3 cats or more does not make you a crazy cat person. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, Bree, good to know, and that's the world we live in. Tuesday, October 29th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.